Headsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and...
I think it's obvious.
Again.
I think it's obvious. Dr. Chris Jones.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
Dr. Chris Jones.
He
Okay.
Big supporter of the show.
I will go with Montgomery Burns. Speaking of nuclear.
I'm going to go with one of Betsy DeVos's mini homes sponsoring the show.
Oh my goodness, Betsy DeVos. I forgot she's
the worst. Jessica, you got to give us a sponsor. This is your second time here now. So anybody could be real or fictional. Who is today's fake sponsor of Dig?
Fake sponsor of the show? That's a great question. I like that you guys do this. Let's go with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, sponsor of the show.
He sponsors the show every week. We know the check
deep
from
state.
him and George. We have confidence that the check's in the mail. Like it's any day now.
I actually got mine, but
it
was post dated.
Do not cash until Christmas.
It is Christmas. I don't know how you knew the date. But it isn't this Christmas. It's coming. I got
a Christmas.
A Christmas
on a given Christmas future.
Look, I've been working out a little bit, so I think I'm feeling pretty healthy. I might make it. I might make it to be able to live long enough.
2064, when Bernie will be long. Bernie will be gone, but his hair will still be here.
It was 21.
Not this. Don't try to play Bernie. Don't even try to play Bernie.
There is no way Bernie's making it till 2064. Okay, so that is.
Do you know that the oldest human on the planet is alive right now? How do we know that's not Bernie?
But the oldest, well, it might already be, which only strengthens my
Don't
theory.
do Bernie. Don't do Bernie. Don't even do him.
Him and George Soros, and I also discovered something. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but I was reminded of something that we were sponsored by the Bilderbergs. Then I was corrected. It was actually Build-A-Bear, not the Bilderbergs.
What did you think it was?
So,
are those different?
I'm not convinced that they're different.
Okay. I was going to say you're saying the same thing. Like they're the same picture. Like you're trying to.
Bilderberg.
It could possibly be that they're the same. So. But welcome in to Dig on America. I am Jason Dutch. That below me is Mikey Feminier, the Inquisitore.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Good. You've been a real nuisance today, so you know.
I've been hilarious, and you know it.
Be on your better behavior for the rest of the show. Also with us, as always, is the awesome attorney Anna.
Hey y'all, you like that alliteration? I love that. It was 3 A's in a row.
The awesome attorney Anna, who's going to give her analysis.
Analysis.
Yeah.
Like, how did you mess that up? It's analysis.
But you can't tell what they have to see the stylized writing before they'll realize that it's Anna-lysis. I have to.
It's just supposed to roll off the tongue.
Pronunciate it.
It's just supposed to roll off.
When the show's going on, they'll see the stylized letters and they'll get the joke. They don't get it yet. But also with us,
y'all not missing anything. It's not out yet. What do you do? Pre-buy it or pre-subscribe,
pre-order,
whatever. Pre-order. Don't take me on Family Feud. I've been trying to build my Family Feud team for years, and y'all see how I just messed up like 3 things.
Oh no, we can't take you out there in front of Mustache.
No, Steve Harvey. Don't take me on the Steve Harvey. What was that other guy? Take me on the old one.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey. No, the guy before that.
So if you pre-order Anna's show, analysis with attorney Anna. if you pre-order that show, you get 3 free skins. You get a Mikey Femmins skin.
Wow.
And also with us today is the awesome. I've been checking your stuff out a little bit more frequently here, Jessica, after we talked. Can I just say, you're fucking badass, and I like you. So welcome to Dig on America,
ma'am.
Jessica Burbank. So
Great to be here.
she put some stuff in. We try to be.
Hold on, Dutch. I think I figured out what all of our guests mean when they say, you guys are fun. We're dumb. Anna is exempt. She's new.
Yes.
We're the dumb, lovable guys in the back of the class.
Somewhat lovable.
No, it's the bantery. It's more of the class clowns. Clowns can be very smart, but they make people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
See?
You don't want to see, well, actually you do want to see Jackson White and Mikey in the same room is not it is intolerable. These two St. Louis guys. So like I'm just like, what are you guys, like stepbrothers? Oh, we're best friends now. We're gonna get matching jackets. It's like,
he think we all the same family. We all look alike. See how we do us, Anna?
See
all the St. Louis boys.
Don't drag me in it.
Oh.
Don't drag me in it, Mikey.
Black people look the same to me. You thought they was brothers. I hear you.
I thought you were.
My God.
I thought you were Eddie Murphy. You're not Eddie Murphy.
I hear those.
Did I tell you all about the time a judge called me Beyonce? Did I tell you about that?
What, in court?
Yes, it was crazy. So here's the thing.
You look more like Kelly.
I
You look more like Kelly Rowland, though, than Beyonce all day long. I stand on that. I'm standing on that.
I'm not Beyonce. I'm so sorry he would do that to you, girl. But let me just say this. No, so I was in court and I was going with one of the partners in my firm, just to kind of get some experience. And it was kind of during COVID. So at the courthouses, they had the plexiglass up, like where the judge sits and the witness sits and the court reporter sits, and then also where the counsel tables were. So my boss and I, coworker and I were sitting at the table, and the other attorney is sitting at that table, and everybody's giving their appearances. And that just basically means like you're telling the court reporter on the record who you are, who you represent, basically why you're there. So that all of this is on the record. So anyway, I go to say my name, but I guess because we had on our masks and the plexiglass and the whole thing, the court reporter heard me say my name, but the judge didn't hear me say my name. So he's like, oh, say your name again. And I said it again. And he's like, okay, so say it again. And I'm like, Anna. And he's like, oh, Anna, you don't have a last name? Like, what are you, Beyonce? And I just everybody just looked at me and I'm just like, is it giving Beyonce? Like, is it really doing that? Or is this racist? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if it's because Beyonce is Black. You didn't say Cher or Elvis, because those are people with single first names. But
you say Prince.
You didn't say Prince. You just said Beyonce. And I did have big hair that day, but I just thought what an odd thing for a judge to say when you just didn't hear my name. So
objection. Were you drinking lemonade at the time?
I was not drinking anything. Why? Because you can't have food or beverages in the courthouse.
What a terrible place.
Yeah.
Well, the lady did say your name, say your name.
Maybe he was like,
I'm not about to play with
the
you.
Lyric.
I'm not about to play with you. I'm not about to play with you. But
no,
it was just
the judge
weird.
Wasn't an old white man like they all are.
Jessica, how did you know?
Oh, wow.
How did you
guess? Wow.
It was like a million
Psychic.
to one shot, and you pulled it right out of the. I mean, gosh, Jessica.
It's like a hole in one. It was just crazy. I just thought to myself, did he really just say that? Wow. And that's my Beyonce story. Everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get the show rolling here with our new host, Beyonce.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it.
And hi, Cher. All right,
feels like
Jessica,
a hot seat.
We're gonna play the game. Oh, you are in the hot seat. We're gonna play that game with you now. We're going to play. This is your official christening as a friend until you defriend us, at least.
It's called unfriending. Come on now.
I unfriend you. All right. We'll ask you 4 questions. You'll give us 4 answers. Ladies first.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Wow, you went right for the
Wow.
God
Divisive
damn.
much?
yeah, jeez, man.
Is
I
This
thought
is
I
a
was-
legitimate question. I've been asking people this
Lay off her,
since
man.
I was on the Delvin Cox show talking about this issue. It is actually rooted in law, so let me just throw that in there. But I would like to know the answer, Miss Mamas.
It's a piece of meat between a bread. It is one bread. So the bread is sliced, but it's still attached on one side.
Mm.
I have to say not a sandwich. It's its own thing.
Thank
That
you.
would be incorrect.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Thank you,
We're out of
Jessica.
the show.
Thank
Thank you, Jessica.
Bye,
A
guys.
sub
I'll see myself
sandwich.
out.
A sub sandwich is
In
connected,
some
right?
states, is considered a sandwich, and
Wow.
it's really a state by state basis. And the reason, not that you asked, was
Why do
long
we have
story
such a dumb law?
well,
my God.
because I'm glad you asked, not to intrude on the question, so I'll make this short. But long story short, there was a case, I believe, in Massachusetts where a Panera Bread was operating in a strip mall, and I believe it was Qdoba or maybe another like Mexican style restaurant or grill, like burrito and quesadilla grill, came into town, and then they had to ask these types of questions and define what is a sandwich. Hot dogs are usually sandwiches. Subs are sandwiches. Tacos are not sandwiches, even soft shell tacos. But in some states, burritos are considered sandwiches. So that's my soapbox.
Wow.
Yeah, people have too much fucking time on their hands.
Well, you need to know, because what if I have what if I have a sandwich shop and we have a restrictive covenant and I say no sandwich shops, and then you're like, oh, well, this is just a burrito.
I thought you loved capitalism. I put
Exactly.
the Subway right next to the Quiznos for all I care. Oh my God.
It's a good one.
I got one.
What if it's,
I got one. I got one. I got one. I got one. I got one.
Okay,
What
I
is
have
the
a question for Annette. What if the hot dog, have you seen this? Where it's wrapped in the pretzel dough?
Oh, see?
pretzel dog?
The pretzel
Or
dog.
corn dog. It's cornbread around it. It's weird territory.
We're in really gray legal areas now.
Yeah.
The
I
corn
smell a
dog.
lawsuit. I
The
smell
corn dog.
lawsuits.
The corn dog defense of 2021 was.
The- Our
We've gotta
LLC
take it
is
to
not
the
a
highest court.
yeah, our LLC is not official yet. I don't know if we can answer that question because we might end up losing everything.
We
What-
might end up getting a defamation case.
Right.
Exactly.
Oscar
We've
Mayer
def-
got wind of it.
We've defamed the taco. They're coming out in droves.
My question is, what is the one pizza topping that even if like you can't pick it off, like if it's on the pizza, that pizza is dead to you?
Ooh.
I have many of those.
Do I have one? It's got to be something weird that like doesn't belong on pizza. I'm in the camp. Pineapple okay on pizza. Black olives, I'll eat those on
There you go.
pizza. All of those are fine. I don't eat meat, so if the pizza has meat on it, this is a boring answer, but I won't eat that pizza. I haven't seen people put anything other than meat on a pizza that I wouldn't eat though.
So, are you a vegan or a vegetarian?
No, I can never do veganism. I love ice cream. I love mac and cheese. I love all of it. But I was super young. I was in like 3rd grade, and I come from like a big Italian family where my grandmother would cook a bunch of food, like meatballs, lasagna with meat in it. Everything was meat. And I was super obnoxious. And I was like, I don't want to eat it because I like the animals. And my parents were like, yeah, okay, this will pass. This is a phase. And it was super annoying for my whole family because it was not a phase, and I just stuck to it my whole life.
I love that dedication.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
You stuck to it. Let's see here. Well, I kind of already asked a semi question, but here's a good question for you. Do you play any musical instruments? If so, what?
Yeah, yep. I play guitar. 6-string guitar. I'm learning blues guitar, which is so difficult. I'm really big on like learning the blues from the people who made the blues. I'm not a fan of like
Ellis.
some people will learn the covers from like Clapton and shit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear here.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, great.
Fuck yeah, candidates
I'm like-
who say whatever the fuck we want.
This you're not
Amazing,
censored here like you are with. I'm not jank. I'm not here to
Yeah.
censor you.
Yeah, we have to abide by the TV 14.
I'm like the
man.
old TYT when they used to swear. Okay.
Yeah, we can't do it anymore. God damn it. Okay, but
You could, but it's very expensive.
yeah, we
Is
get
it worth
fined.
the? Is it worth the money?
Yeah, sometimes it really is. The stories are, the news is awful.
Sometimes it's good. All the time, woo.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I love learning the blues from like Muddy Waters, R.L. Burnside, the people who made the blues, the people who had to play the blues for sharecroppers and get like their spare change. They were not making much. And then if they get good enough, they can buy a nicer instrument. They can play at the Juke Jam. They can go up to Chicago. Like they had to really work to make it. And then you have these guys like Clapton and honestly Stevie Ray Vaughan as well, who people love, and Joe Bonamassa, who are just like white dudes who learned the blues from listening to those guys and just like turned it into something else. So I'm deep in the like OG blues.
I have a follow-up to his follow-up. Oh my God. What is your opinion of Elvis?
Elvis? I don't really
I was just
listen.
thinking that, Mikey. That's crazy. I was like, exactly what you describing. I'm like, so Elvis stealing from James Brown. Got it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
listen. I
everyone
don't listen to
was.
Elvis. I mean, Elvis was also super racist. It was just like not a
Hella
good guy to be
racist.
around. Not a fan. I don't listen to his music, and he seems like kind of a shitty person.
And he had a terrible diet. Like, I know you would not approve given your status.
He's a
You
predator.
would not approve.
That dude's a fucking predator. I don't care what
In
anybody
addition
says.
to being a predator.
I've heard that
he
as
was
well.
definitely a predator.
I mean, he married what's her face at 14.
She was 14?
Yeah.
I thought she was, I mean, not that it matters, but I thought she was like 17. But like still predator
up.
nonetheless. Okay. Are you looking it up or you want me to look it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Where are we at on questions?
Not Elvis wife 14. They beat me to it. That came up. Before you even get it typed out, it was like Elvis wife 14. I'm like, it must be true. They met when he was 24 and she was 14.
Oh, gross.
Girl, Priscilla, why would he do that?
It's legal in Arkansas or North Carolina.
Wasn't he
To marry a 14-year-old?
You know that it's actually legal in California too. Like California does not have. I believe we don't even have a minimum age in California. Progressive my ass.
How do y'all overlook something like? Never mind.
The Pelosi's. I have no idea.
Not the
not the Pelosi's, obviously. But my disdain for the Pelosi's knows no bounds. But no, that she's not in state government, so she would have nothing to do with that. That was just me being an asshole. But yeah, we don't have. And if we do, it's recent. But I know the last I checked a couple years ago, we did. I don't believe we did, which is super weird. But like they like in North Carolina, I want to say it's 12 or 13, and in a lot of states with parental consent, it's quite young, and it's always done so for religious reasons. And these are always the people who are talking about the child trafficking, but they're the ones supporting those laws. So it's like it's super weird shit. But
Massachusetts has the lowest minimum marriage age with parental consent of 14-year-olds for boys and 12-year-olds for girls.
A Democrat state.
Get your shit together, Boston.
The fact that it's different for boys and girls is also
I was just thinking that.
Weird. What the hell?
I'm like, not they said the boy's not going to be ready by 12. 14
at 12 you're childbearing age, so you have responsibilities to your husband.
Gross.
Yeah. Well, what about the boy? What about the boy?
Yeah, he's a freshman.
Like you're still 14.
But boys will be boys. Brett Kavanaugh proved this. I mean, the boys will be boys. They have
him and Squiffy or whatever.
Squib.
I'm so over them. I am so over them.
Him and Squeegee. Boofing fucking whatever.
They're boofing. They were boofing at 14.
And then he sat there for 45 minutes and acted like he never heard the word before. I'm like, dude, really?
Speaking of boofing,
What?
You think we can get away? Oh yeah, we're going there.
Where's this going?
We're
I
going
don't
there.
know.
In fact, let me pull up this fucking jag bag here. Hold on a second.
Jag bag.
What are you
Some of the language we be using on this show, I don't know what we're even talking about.
Jag bag is Chicago verbiage.
Mikey, want to elaborate?
I'm trying to pull up an image here and not a.
It's,
So, go ahead.
It's a jag off. It's the same thing.
A what?
A jag off. You never heard that term either?
You're not saying jack off, you're saying jag.
No,
Yeah.
in Chicago we say jag off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But that means jack off, though.
It means
Just
jack
to
off,
be
right.
clear for everybody, because
Yeah.
because it was not clear to me what y'all
That's
was
why
talking
they
about.
say jag bag. So it's
Mhm.
like it's super Midwestern. Like
It's that.
I'm from Detroit. Like, that's why I'm just
Then you-
like, you're
look, you
saying
should
Midwestern.
know-
I just never heard of this.
while you're drinking your Fayat,
Fago, don't do us,
whatever it's
Dutch.
called.
Fago pop. Get into it.
Hey, I'm with you on the pop. I say pop on purpose out here just to piss people off in California.
It's actually soda, but go ahead.
It's pop. And
It's actually not, but thanks.
I'll ask people in California, I'll be like, what kind of pop do you guys have? They're like, huh? just
looking
to
for fights. Looking for fights.
just Mikey can start the dig because I pre-recorded it. So because I knew this was going to happen. So what happens when you have to have two working people in the family? Why do we need this? Anyway, this jackamamie.
Little ears now.
Another one for you. This ass clown right here.
Oh, my God.
Man, yeah.
Don't, do not bring.
And like I said, speaking of boofing, he turns out this guy who hates women and talks about women who, perform oral sex even on their husband are like these horrible people and dirty and calls them all these names. Turns out he's gay. Turns out he's gay.
And a bit of a predator as well. It's not
Absolutely.
It's not just that he was like, seeing men romantically, had romantic partners. Turns out there were these people who came to him because he's a pastor, no? He's a preacher.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. People
good
see him as a
reverend.
leader figure, a reverend. And so people in troubled times, struggling with addiction, losing people in their families would come to him, and he would slowly make advances towards them. All the while he's pushing so much homophobia on his show. He has podcasts and things.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
It's the
insane.
worst. It's the worst show ever. And
It's
I have no
bad.
problem with him being gay. That's
Right.
perfectly fine. My problem is that you exploited people for years. You have obviously been a predator. And right up there with that is you got rich off of just screwing the LGBT community over for decades. You're an animal. You're a monster. You're a piece of garbage. And I'm so happy that you're outed because you're now done with the people
Who outed him?
a Republican group that is doing it for the wrong reasons.
What's their reason?
He's black.
Oh, duh.
No,
Okay.
they feel he betrayed. It might be that too, but they feel he betrayed their trust.
Oh, okay.
You thought she was gonna stay in the house forever, didn't you, Jesse? Come on, Jesse.
That's crazy.
Come
That's
on,
crazy.
Jesse.
Look, guys, I'm going to let you guys discuss this. I'll be back in a little while, but I got
Okay.
dad duty to do right now, so I'll see all of you in a minute. Jessica, thank you.
Adios.
Yeah, get out of here so we can talk about you, Jam. God,
It's
just
better
wanna-
already.
All right.
Rude. All right, what is it? Jag bag.
So unfortunately, he did pre-record our little history topic.
Oh, that's what this is. Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys want to stop me or pause me at any point, just let me know. Because I'm sure he'll say something that we'll want to comment on. Let's volume. Where's my volume at? How's my volume at? We're good. Let's see how it goes. Oh.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Dutch.
Pause. I hate this guy already. I just want to.
Notably absent today am I, as dad duties popped in. So I want to thank Chris Jones for joining the first half of the show. But we'll get right into today's.
Wouldn't it have been funny if Chris had said he couldn't make it?
Dig with special guest Jessica Burbank from the Young Turks network, another friend from there, which is awesome. So we'll get right into this and rock and roll from there. And after I'm done, my co-host, generally co-host, because I'm usually sitting next to them, will give their commentary on this. So let's roll in, shall we? I like to do this so I can tell the dad jokes. Mikey loves my dad jokes. So my 8th grade social studies
Not
teacher.
he pre-recorded this in here.
Yeah,
I'm
why is
literally
he-
screaming.
I'm mad that he's pre-recording his trolls. Like, I don't appreciate
he
it.
included him. That's crazy.
That's offensive to me.
Sure. Taught me things that turns out after doing my own research wasn't
Mr. Humble.
exactly the whole story. And this week we will dive into the topic of American interventionism, the CIA, and Iran Contra. So the U.S. has had a long history of intervention in other nations since successfully gaining independence, which is sort of ironic, noting, the isolationist ideas that permeated the nation after the revolution. The U.S. had pretty much from the start been against any European powers having influence in the Americas, established officially with the Monroe Doctrine in 1823. But almost immediately after the Revolutionary War, started intervening in Asia. This all started with Korea in around 1811, and later in Japan and throughout really the entire 19th century. So in those Asian efforts, by the way, I should note, were sort of efforts to westernize Asia in order to be able to trade with them. And, they were also very isolationist prior.
Where have we seen that before? Hi, I'm your friend. Want some cool stuff like I got? You like leather jackets, man? Want some Wranglers? There's a mine behind you. Anybody using that right now? like where else have we seen where the blue-eyed stranger comes bearing gifts and he just wants to go behind you to just dig a little hole or just build a couple houses? Where have we seen this before?
Oh, but we're not colonists. It's so different when we do it, because when we do it, it's all about spreading democracy, right? We're the good guys.
Democracy. I think you mean freedom.
Right.
America.
So we fought in the Philippine Wars around this time. We fought in the Barbary Wars with the barbarians, actually off the coast of Africa. Fought in the Banana Wars, which kind of wish we lost because I freaking hate bananas. We intervened in Chile, which I do like chili. Chili's pretty good, better than bananas.
Chile.
And then after Chile, dozens of occupations in Latin American nations, most notably making Cuba a protectorate, actually kind of ran it for a couple of years. And we literally had United States Marines ruling the Dominican Republic from around 1915-16 to the mid-1920s. And in addition to that, we also, just for the heck of it, set up an African nation in Liberia. Not to be confused with Latvia, where Dr. Doom is from, for those who are wondering. So not all of this was military, though. So as President Taft initiated what was called dollar diplomacy in 1914, which was basically a way for American corporations, of course, to benefit while assisting the national security goal of preventing the European powers from filling any possible power vacuums in Latin America. Sounds oddly like socialism there, but yeah, it's for corporations. So of course, socialism for corporations is completely okay. So if you don't already know, interventionism in the US is done for one primary reason: not to promote our form of democracy, as I have yet to see any of the democracies that we've set up have an electoral college, not to quell terrorism.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the Electoral College? Seems fair. I mean, these farmers have like so much land and that land needs votes. That land should have a say in who goes to Washington. No, I'm wrong.
No, the land needs to vote. If the land doesn't vote, who will?
And I think my money should vote too.
Well, why not? There are faces on them after all, Mikey. Are there not?
They have souls.
Debatable.
No, we actively support terror groups and they fight proxy wars for us. So, and also, sorry, Christians, but also not to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ either. Now, that was the Roman Catholic Church did that, but we didn't. We did use it as an excuse sometimes, but that wasn't the reason. No, the reason why we did all this was one reason only: to pave the way for capitalism. To pave the way, not just for capitalism, but the people participating in capitalism, the U.S. corporations. We wanted to increase access for these corporations to new resources and new people to both produce and consume goods. And if you think that's not true, well, you're just really not paying attention. So the CIA was essentially founded in on July 26, 1947. Yes, this very week, by Harry Truman, who oddly is often noted as being one of the most progressive presidents in U.S. history. When he signed off on the National Security Act, specifically in Section 104, which was all done in the wake of Pearl Harbor. So officially speaking, the CIA is concerned with issues such as terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, spying, and more recently, cybersecurity. The CIA has been involved in far too many operations to discuss in one show. That goes without saying. In fact, probably do a year of shows. But I will nonetheless attempt to give you a good tidbit here from 30,000 feet. So the CIA is probably known most in pop culture as a spy organization that is fighting communism, at least up until recently, and socialism, of course, which is a trigger word for everything. But they've been involved in quite a few coups that really have nothing to do with communism, including the Iranian coup that we spent some time talking about a couple of weeks back. An attempted coup in Indonesia, of all places, Vietnam, they were involved in a whole shit ton of arming rebel forces in places where we decided it makes sense for national security, because, you know, nobody proxy wars like the good old US of A, except maybe Russia, because we fought against them most of those times, who, by the way, has their own version of the CIA, essentially, in the FSB, but it's a damn close race. The CIA claims not to monitor U.S. citizens, it should be noted, unless they are suspected of terrorist activity, which is kind of gray. And of course, if you're suspected of being from the moons of Jupiter, which is, of course, every person on the show, yes, they're probably spying us right now. The CIA should not be confused with the FBI. They're different. And there are three main ways to distinguish those two organizations. So CIA agents always wear gray suits, where FBI agents always wear blue suits. Got it? So CIA employees actually comb their hair. They're really good looking like me. FBI agents kind of look like Mikey, you know, a little disheveled. And most...
Okay, Dutch. Wait till you get back.
Most importantly, you can tell a CIA agent by the fact that they are not inspecting female bodies all day like the FBI is. Get it?
God. My God.
FBI, female body inspector.
Stop the show. I want to get off.
Not
anyway,
funny.
Let's talk about a few fun stories before we get to the big tamale in Iran Contra. So one, in 1950, the UFO craze was pretty real. So real that the CIA and Air Force actually tried to create flying saucers shaped like saucers. They wanted to be able to destroy Russian targets while being able to blame this on the aliens. Oh boy, here we go. Probably those aforementioned Jupiterians like us, right? So unfortunately, despite massive funding, there was nobody big enough to throw the Frisbee. Number two, MK Ultra, which is, of course, the newest version of Mortal Kombat. This was a 20-year attempt at mind control. Like, I think Wizzo was part of this on the Bozo show. What a creepy guy that was. MK Ultra wasted more.
Okay, so that was a very Chicago reference, and I don't know if the rest of y'all got that. Do you guys remember Bozo the Clown?
Yeah,
I've heard of this.
generally.
Okay, that was shot in Chicago, so on WGN. So in Chicago, Bozo is still, I mean, he's been gone for a while now, but he's everybody is very familiar with Bozo and his other creepy ass clown friends that were on his weird show back in the day. It's so weird.
More resources than we can really count. And all they really had to do was go talk to Yoda, and they would have been just fine. This is not the podcast you're looking for. I'm going to do this when I go on to Young Turks. This is not the podcast you're looking for.
That's Obi-Wan Kenobi. God damn it, Dutch.
You're looking for dig on him. So number 3, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which, by the way, we already had a bunch of nukes on Russia's doorstep, so it kind of makes sense they'd want them here. The CIA brought a plan to President John F. Kennedy, which would carry out a series of terrorist attacks. Not on Cuba, not on Russia, but here. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the Department of Defense in 1962 or thereabouts. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and actually commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using it to justify a war against Cuba. The plan there in Operation Northwoods called for assassinations of Cuban Americans, bombing a restaurant in Washington, D.C., inciting riots in certain cities. I'm sure you can guess the demographics of those cities. And hijacking airplanes, of course, which is like 101. Now, happily, JFK did reject this plan, although just a year earlier, he did sign off on Operation Mongoose, which was basically the same thing, but taking place in Cuba, and most famous for failing time after time after time after time to kill Fidel Castro, including using an ex-girlfriend who fell back in love with him and an exploding cigar. Haas, pay attention. Exploding cigar, be careful. There was also a plan.
Oh no, Haas isn't here tonight. They got him. They got him.
Plan called Operation Dirty Trick. Another false flag, which was a contingency in case the Mercury manned space mission were to have failed, crashed, etc. Now, this was the orbit around the Earth with astronaut John Glenn. And the idea was, and this is a quote, the objective here is to provide irrevocable proof that should Mercury fail, the fault would lie with the communists. What a perfect whipped topping for your Red Scare cupcake. Number 4, Operation Paperclip. This one is simple. Instead of imprisoning Nazis, we move the Nazis to sunny California and we give them new identities. We clear their name and we find work for them, finding ways to kill people as effectively as the Nazis had done so. This included Werner von Braun, who basically helped establish the United States space program. It was big in the Apollo missions. Number 5, Attorney Anna. This one is for you. Hope you're here.
I'm here.
It proves what we've talked about before, that birds are not real.
I'm not doing this with him. Not on the recorded video. I am not doing this with him. Keep on, push play.
So the CIA had originally tried to use cats as spies. That didn't work. Get hit by cars. So the CIA used our feathered robot friends, the pigeon and the raven. I'm not sure if it's the raven from the novel or the raven from Game of Thrones, but one of the two. The CIA trained pigeons to drop sensors and fly cameras all over Eastern Europe and employed thousands of birds. I don't know if they gave them healthcare or not. And they
Anna.
I'm not doing it.
Anna.
I'm not doing it.
likely
I'm not doing it.
This operation at some point in time today. It would use like lasers to get them to go to Windows and all types of crazy stuff. Not really ever sure what they got from it, but hey, you know, you just use those GPS and you're good. These birds are not real. And by the way, more birds. Operation Mockingbird in the 70s was a backdoor deal with the U.S. newspaper to publish CIA authored or approved articles that really just were culture wars meant to make people fear Russia or socialism. By the way, QAnon believes that Operation Mockingbird still exists today. And if they are possibly right about anything, which they're probably not, but if they are right about one thing, it might be this. Definitely higher chance of this than the reptilian aliens or these space lasers. Oh, the Jewish space laser. Sorry. In the 1980s, the CIA under Ronald Reagan was busy funding commie fighters across the world, but Reagan was most interested in a group called the Contras and their battle in, Mikey, I get to say it, Nicaragua, against the Cuban-backed Sandinistas. Oddly, Reagan loved the Contras so much, he actually called them, and this is a quote, the moral equivalent of our founding fathers, which is absurd because the Contras were funded heavily by the cocaine trade, which is, of course, probably far more moral than the slavery the founding fathers were building the United States with. But anyway, Congress passed the Boland legislation to keep the CIA and the DOD from funding these drug dealers. Unswayed by this, Reagan directed his national security chief, Bud McFarlane, to fund the Contras regardless of any cost. Enter Iran. In 1985, an Iranian terror group held American hostages in Lebanon, which I am sadly old enough to remember the news coverage of. Reagan rightly, of course, wanted to bring them home, as did all of America. We were all polarized by this, but it was how he did it that almost cost him his presidency. And by almost, I mean not even close. So despite a trade embargo with Iran, which I believe was Carter, and a pledge not to negotiate, that the U.S. would never negotiate with terrorists, right? We've all heard that before. Reagan gave the Iranians about $30 million in weapons and cash to free these hostages. But secretly, only about half, maybe 12 million of that money actually went to Iran. So you remember they said Obama dropped pallets of cash in Iran? Well, Reagan dropped pallets of cash in Iran literally, but also some of it didn't go to Iran. It went to, guess who? The Contras. And we found all this.
You guys haven't paused him yet. Did you guys want to take a break in the action and say anything yet, or are we going to rock out to the end?
I could say that I don't know if y'all watch Snowfall, but Snowfall has like a lot of elements of this, like what he's describing as far as like Nicaragua and just the impact of that conflict on America and how the United States government used crack in the Black communities to try to fund some of this. So yeah, if you haven't seen Snowfall, check it out. It's a really, really great show. Very interesting storyline, very interesting characters, and it's fictional, but it tries to be historically accurate, and it involves some of the elements of this stuff. So it's a good show.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm kind of vibing with our, it's kind of like a bedtime story, fast version of.
Now she said he's putting us to sleep.
No, not at all. It's like, I don't know. I like the quick version of everything that's happened, all of the interventions that the United States has been involved with, and then into the Contra scandal. Super interesting. It's the Boland Amendment is really key there, because for so long, the U.S. Congress and the American people were just on board. They were like, yeah, when we go and intervene in other countries abroad, we're doing the right thing because we're the United States and we're the greatest, and we're going there to spread democracy and fight communism. And finally, they were like, yeah, actually, the CIA is not up to good wherever they're intervening. And this guy, Ed Boland from Massachusetts, was like, I'm going to make a piece of legislation that says no money to Nicaragua. So that Boland legislation is named after that guy, Ed Boland, and he writes this piece of legislation. And the Reagan administration was like, you know what? We didn't want to intervene in Nicaragua anyway. We just wanted to stop the supply line of weapons from going to Nicaragua. So we support this. But so many people in the U.S. were so fed up with the United States intervening that this passed 411-0. No one voted against it. They were like, the United States will not fund the Contras in Nicaragua. So that's like just some flavor of where people in the US were at this point in time.
That's crazy. And they still did whatever they wanted.
Right.
Imagine everybody. You're like, yeah, let's listen to them. And they'd be like, yeah, not us though. Like they were talking about y'all, not us.
We meant the royal we.
So, during the Senate hearings,
The second among equals.
Oliver North was a big piece of this, his admissions and testimony. So there's a lot of great resources to go back and look at this on YouTube and stuff like that. So despite the efforts of John Kerry and others, Reagan got away with this, and he was not ever implicated directly, but many around him, including McFarland and North, were found guilty. Forward to August 1996, the San Jose Mercury News finally linked the origins of crack cocaine in California to those Contras. The same guerrilla force backed by the Reagan administration, in addition to aiding Manuel Noriega, a Panamanian leader who was in bed with Colombian drug lords and running drugs into America's inner cities. Again, guess the demographics, because he was no fan of the Sandinistas.
Can we pause this?
Yep.
Or was he?
Noriega is a crazy story. So Noriega was this guy who was friends with the CIA, would give them intel, was friends with the communists in Cuba, would go hang out with those guys, I'm sure would tell them stories about the United States. But because he let the United States have a base in Panama where they could go and intervene abroad in El Salvador and in Nicaragua, they were friends with Noriega. They were cool. And there was this one interview that this guy I worked for, Stephen Kinzer, did, where he was a foreign correspondent for the New York Times. And now he writes about how awful American interventionism is. But at one point, he was in the middle of it. And so he gets an interview with Noriega, and he says, there's a lot of rumors that you're super involved with the drug trade. What do you have to say about that? And he goes and he opens his briefcase, and he pulls out a letter from Lon, who is the director of the DEA. And the letter says something to the effect of, we are so proud of the work you're doing to, prevent drugs from entering the United States and condemn the cartels there in Panama. And it was because he was shutting down certain airports in Panama for the Medellin cartel to go in and get their shipments out. All he would have to do would take a phone call. The Medellin cartel would say, hey, we're coming on this day and this time. They would slide him $100K for it, shut down the airport for the day. They take the drugs out. But what Noriega also did was when the Cartagena cartel was going through the airport, he would get word of the shipment from the Medellin cartel, and then he would send his guys to go take all the drugs and report to the United States, look at all these drugs that we seized. We caught these guys. They were going to come to the United States. We're the best. We're always helping you out. And so Noriega was just this amazing character who was playing everyone, the DEA, the CIA. He had George H.W. Bush come and hang out with him. He was friends with the Cubans. But yeah, the United States eventually turned on him when, he said maybe we should have control of the canal in Panama. So as soon as U.S. interests were, in jeopardy, they were like, fuck this guy. But what a crazy person.
Our sudden but inevitable betrayal.
You know what? Not to bring up another show. I feel like I'm watching too much TV. Have y'all seen Blacklist? Because Reddington is like a. Oh, you never seen that, Jessica? Oh, you might really.
My parents watched it, so I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you might really enjoy it.
James Spader crushes it.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't see him. Like, I know he was on The Office for a season, but I can't see him doing any other role because he plays this character so good, but similar character where he just sold information to the highest bidder meaning whatever government or back channel was in his pocket. And it was really fascinating because he would just traffic in information. And that's like how he made money to the point where obviously our CIA hired him to do stuff on behalf of the CIA. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you're going to hire somebody that is an international criminal that traffics in information, why do you think there will be any loyalty? But I digress.
It's a great show.
Blacklist. Yeah. It's a great show.
It's so accurate to how this stuff went down. That was Noriega's strength to the CIA. They were like, he has no values, no morals. he's transactional. So if we give him the most money to do what we
Right.
want him to do, this is our guy. This is a great guy to be friends with. Yeah.
Yep.
Just like, yeah, super, super
So
strong
they turn
parallel.
on you. You're like, he
Yeah.
doesn't like anybody, including me.
Mhm.
Because U.S. eventually did invade Panama and take down Noriega, but not till they found out that he was providing intelligence and services to the Sandinistas. So I guess he was a dirty commie, and then they took him out. So now that's not it. There was other guys too that were running these drugs, and I do want to make sure we touch on this briefly, because even though it's not direct CIA all the time, this one is Jose Bueso Rosa, a Honduran general who was heavily involved with the CIA's Contra operations, faced a trial for his role in a massive drug shipment to the U.S. Reagan officials got him a sentence at a posh resort posing as a prison in Florida. Again, better to be a drug runner than a communist, I suppose. According to the Institute for Policy Studies, while much of the CIA Contra drug story had been revealed back in the 80s, during the congressional hearings, the Mercury News break in the 90s added a bunch of missing links like the ones that I just talked about. So it followed the cocaine trail all the way to Ricky Ross and some Los Angeles gangs, of course, again, guess the demographics, who became street-level distributors of crack. The CIA's drug network wrote Webb, who was the author of the article who broke the story, quote, opened the first pipeline between cartels and black neighborhoods of Los Angeles, which became known as the crack capital of the world. These gangs use their profits to buy automatic weapons, sometimes from CIA-linked drug dealers. The CIA has denied this, of course, but the fact is the war on drugs, which was oddly also like this big Reagan thing, war on crime, war on drugs, resulted in black Americans having the most resulted in black Americans moving from having the most fathers present in the house in the home, so in other words, the most two-parent families, to the least within about a decade and a half.
No, that's
Snowfall. Snowfall.
that's-
This is
no,
what I
that-
was saying.
That's because black people don't have morals, Anna.
Mikey,
All they wanna do
people
is
don't
sin.
understand the sarcasm. You can't just drop that egg.
No, that's cool.
The
They can
sarcasm is lost.
they can try to cancel me. Better have tried and failed, you babies. I'm not afraid of you.
Interesting. Nonetheless, the Iran Contra hearings were, along with Watergate and Benghazi, the most watched congressional hearings up until, well, now with the January 6 hearings. So a lot of information there. Again, 30,000 foot view. I just want to touch on a few things, get a little bit of historical fact thrown in there. If you like this show, follow us on Twitter at Dig on America. Definitely subscribe on Twitch or YouTube, preferably Twitch at twitch.tv/Dig on America. Follow us on Twitter. I already said that. And if you'd like to donate to the show, patreon.com/Dig on America. I'll let my guys and Jessica rock and roll with this. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Oh, thank God it's over.
Bye.
Not the wave. The wave has me
I love you.
screaming.
Oh no.
Bye.
He didn't
Oh,
know how
no.
to end this. He didn't know how to end it.
I love that.
Ah!
Oh,
You're back.
Ah.
You're muted. You're muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Dutch.
And your mic is off.
Mic is off.
Oh,
There you
there
go.
we go.
There you
Look
go.
at that. I'm a professional at this, folks.
You didn't want us to hear nothing. He turned everything. Like he unplugged it, turned it
I was
off, put it in
so-
another room.
I was so
Buried it
taken
in cement.
aback by the dashing, handsome guy who was, reading that little
Yeah.
history lesson that I could barely contain myself. I'm like Loki. I was in love with myself.
It's gross.
But no, I didn't know how to end it because I had like 7 more pages of content and I'm like, I can't do this. This is just way too much stuff. But I did want to end it on the J6 because Jessica had pointed out to me that there was a lot of tie-ins, which I actually hadn't drawn that connection before, and kind of looked into some of that. And I guess that's probably a good place to kind of let her start here, because this is her cup of tea. So
Yeah, about the tie-in, Bill Barr, attorney Bill Barr was present around the time that the George H.W. Bush administration was pardoning these guys. So all of the dudes, McFarlane, Bud McFarlane, Oliver North, John Poindexter, the whole foreign policy establishment, all of them were implicated in this. Everything came out in those hearings, which super similar to the special committee now hearing about everything that went on during January 6th and how people in the administration were so intimately involved. The only difference being is that all of those guys protected Reagan. They pretty much said Reagan didn't know about it until it was too late and they had already done the things, which I don't buy. I believe fully that Reagan was super involved. But Bill Barr was behind the scenes in the Bush administration saying, let's pardon these guys. And back then they were saying stuff like, oh, well, now it seems as though people in power and with powerful allies are above the law, which is the same stuff we're saying now about the January 6 hearings. And the crazy part is, even though they had these hearings, so many of these folks were never held accountable. The one person, John Poindexter, who was head of the National Security Council, he was actually found guilty. He did not get a pardon like the other guys did. And his case ended up getting referred to the Supreme Court, and they never took the case. And so these guys got off pretty much scot-free after doing a coup and completely destabilizing another country, which honestly, they tried a coup here. They were not successful, but it's pretty much just as bad, if not worse in the case of Nicaragua, because they were extremely effective at shaping politics there forever and responsible for killing so many people. It's such an interesting episode of interventionist history. And I'm glad you brought up Honduras, because they were key there as well, because they're right over the border. And the Contras needed a place to go and train up the folks who are going to overthrow the Sandinistas and then go back and cross the border and continue fighting them. And the Sandinistas pretty much said, we would have been successful. We would have, held power within Nicaragua for quite some time. We would have won elections if it weren't for Reagan intervening. And now that country hasn't been stable for years and years and years. And it's thanks to the U.S.
And we helped.
Well, we always do. What I think was interesting about the Tower Commission is which was the hearings in the 80s, was that Reagan, I think I'm not mixing that up with something else, but Reagan, like when he admitted to what was going on, I didn't put this in the dig, but there was a quote that I wanted to read. And here's what Reagan said afterwards. A few months ago, I told Nancy and I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that that's true. But the facts and the evidence tell me it is not. As angry as I may be about the activities undertaken without my knowledge, I am still accountable for those activities. The American public ate that shit up. And like, it's the total Trump antithesis, right? Like, and they did call it like Iran Gate and stuff like that at the time. And again, I remember this stuff being in I was a kid, right? I was 12, but 13 years old at the time. But I remember all of this shit from Iran Contra, when I was like 9, 10 to the hearings when I was like 12, 13. And like, it was always in the background on the news. So like, I don't remember like the details, obviously, because I was little, but but like my parents, I don't remember for a minute they were stalwarts on Reagan. They still are. He's 1B to them right now after Trump. So, and it's like but Trump is like the total antithesis of that, because he's playing the like, oh, it's a witch hunt type of thing. And, these are bunk, where Reagan played it the opposite way. and it worked for Reagan, which I find that contrast, you know, when you juxtapose those two things, it's super interesting to look at it that way.
Right, yeah. He played his cards right in a public-facing way because he was like, oh, we need to look into this. Let's get people to investigate it. This is very important. We'll have them do a report, whereas Trump was saying, you know, kangaroo court, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Reagan's administration brutalized Nicaragua, which is crazy. And there was this one CIA pilot who was pretending to be a Contra fighting in a civil war in Nicaragua. And the Sandinistas shot the plane down. And it was this guy, Eugene Hassenfuss. And they captured him and put him on trial. And he confessed everything. He said, yes, the United States military, their CIA in cahoots with the Argentinians, the Argentinian army is training up Contras to go and fight the Sandinistas. It's all funded by the United States. He was a CIA pilot that was responsible for bringing weapons from one place to another place. And in this trial in Managua, they made him answer for everything, and he told them everything. And so because they shot that plane down, they found out a lot about what was going on in Nicaragua that they may not have otherwise, which is just insane. Insane that they just happened to shoot the plane down of a CIA operative. I mean, I'm sure that there were plenty of them supporting the Contras, but that was really one of the most significant events where they sort of unraveled the plan. And Bud McFarlane, when he was on trial testifying, he was one of the main guys who orchestrated this. That was a part of the National Security Council. He said something to the effect of, many people in America are realizing how wrong our foreign policy is. But it's actually much more wrong than that. Or if only they knew how wrong it actually was. And it was so ominous. And it was just this moment where he was like, yeah, I'm just going to say the thing. It's actually awful. What we do is awful. And so many of these guys like Oliver North, Elliot Abrams, they continued to have a career in American politics. Elliot Abrams was in the last administration under Trump. And he was one of the guys that got pardoned that was orchestrating this.
Power begets power.
Where's our coup guy? I know he's around here somewhere. I know we picked him up. Hey, Stumpy, get off the bench. We need a coup going here.
You're in. and Trump was big on bringing back these old relics. You know, he brought back Barr, he brought back Bolton. You know, and those guys were all, they were hanging. You know, that they weren't in the at the forefront during Reagan, but they were more Bush guys. But they were players back then, you know, and had some adjacency to this type of stuff. So but like, I think that the overall arching theme is that we need to stop fucking around in the well-being of other nations, unless it's for their well-being. Then yes, I'm all for aid for earthquakes and stuff like that, you know. Obviously, like with Haiti and stuff like that, we should have gone there and provided aid. But we've learned, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago when we did oil? Or a week ago? I don't remember. But we've learned over and over again that we can't just go set up governments that people don't want. You know, if they don't want that government, but the U.S. says you should have it, because we know better than you do. And
don't
it's just
you want your freedom? Don't you want freedom, Dutch? This is what freedom
apparently
looks like.
It's, you know, like there are some times where I suppose that you could make an argument for that, but, and I know you're being sarcastic, but we never do it with those types of intentions. It's always for freeing up resources. Every single fucking time. It's either to do something against like Russia or against Iran or something like that. Like we have a vested interest because of one of our enemies. None of this is new stuff. Everybody knows this stuff. Nothing I'm saying right now is like new news, but we continue to sweep it under the rug. In The Boys, they had a great line in the last episode. He said, when you're Paul Reiser, who's playing the legend.
Shout out to Paul Reiser for getting so much work these days. I ain't
Yeah.
seen you kids mad about you, homeboy. You're looking good. Your acting chops are up to snuff. Good for you, Paul. I know he's listening.
Paul Reiser, yeah, he's a friend of the show, of course. But like Paul Reiser played the legend, who, for those who don't watch The Boys, it's a show on superheroes and it's all parodies. And Paul Reiser is a parody of Stanley, right? So I'm going to paraphrase this because it's off the top of my head. But he said something to the extent of, and he was talking about like Soldier Boy / Captain America in, during World War II. And he's like, when you're American, being American is knowing you're the hero. And that is super profound, right? Like, he's like, he knows that we know we're the hero so much. And we keep telling ourselves that we keep sweeping our shit under the rug so that we can keep telling ourselves we're the hero. And like, to me, a real hero would be like when I make a mistake as a dad, which I do all the time. I say, I made a mistake. That's what I think someone should do. Then I would look at the U.S. government and say, hey, you know what? That's a heroic act. They just admitted they were wrong with this. Like, you'll have different administrations will come up and say, oh, the Democrats did this, or the Republicans did that, and they were wrong. But they're always exonerating their own side. And it's silly.
Now, Dutch, have you considered blaming Antifa on your mistakes?
I hate Mikey.
I'm just saying, it seems to be very popular these days, and it's getting a lot of traction. And you might want to try it out.
Look, we all know, and Jessica, I'm sure, knows this better than all of us. Anytime anything goes wrong, it's always Antifa, BLM, CRT, or trans people.
ESPN. Oh.
Yes.
Any of the letters.
Yeah, or FJ, or Let's Go Brandon. Yeah, it's like we did a show. I don't remember if it was a specific show on Red Scares, but like I think it might have been. I think we might have done a dig on Red Scares like a year or so ago.
Yeah, and
like they have been doing this since World War I with the Bolsheviks. The intervention goes well beyond that, but since Bolshevism, we've been doing this nonstop against socialism. And by the way, for those interested, next week's show is on socialism. I'm going to break all that shit down for you.
Is Sweet coming on?
He can, but I have an economist coming on who is I believe he's an economist. I'll send you the guy's info, who's lived in, I believe, Venezuela.
Are we going to have an economist fight live on air? I'm ready for this.
Jessica, you're an communist. You're an economist, aren't you?
Ecommunist.
Oh, you're an economist? That's awesome.
I did a lot of econ. Yeah, my grad degree is in data-driven policy, but it was mostly econ.
Okay.
Girl, some snaps for you.
Yeah, I thought I saw you post some stuff on modern monetary theory.
Yes, yeah, that was me for sure.
Which is something I've been studying a lot lately. But yeah, we can get Sweet on for that for sure.
Text him.
Yeah. Jessica can come back on too. We can just let the three of them go, and the rest of us can take the day off. Anna has to be there, of course.
Well, I'll just be there with an easel and some crayons, trying to figure out what exactly we are talking about.
Look, it's always a way better show when I'm not on it. That part we know for sure.
We have so much fun. It's so much
brutal. You guys are brutal.
We don't pull punches around here.
No, Jessica, we don't like each other.
Is this a beef? There's an ongoing beef.
I don't know.
We like Anna.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not a part of this.
We're both just here for Anna. We don't want to let her down week by week.
Yes,
we put up with each other.
That's so kind.
Like two kids trying to get the last donut out of the box all the time.
When did this beef start?
Before we met.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I knew I
many moons ago.
Hated you before I met you.
He's a chronic player hater. So
Mikey is my ground, right? Like if you're doing electrical work, he's the ground for me. So The
I don't want them getting inflated,
No. Well, inflation, if I were to get inflated, it would clearly be Joe Biden's fault.
I'm surprised
Well.
they're not standing outside of carnivals talking about the inflation and balloons and blaming that on Biden. Like
Look,
they blame every single thing is inflation now. Everything. This cat is sleeping next to me. That's inflation, and that's Joe Biden's fault. Like it's everything. It's the new thanks, Obama.
Inflation, Joe Biden. Deflation, Tom Brady. Done.
Not Tom Brady.
So Tom Brady
if you're looking
for
at
president.
this, how did you get in it?
Deflategate.
Do we?
I know. I got that's the one joke that I know.
I do have a question though, Jessica. Do you think deflation at this point in time, it would still be a bad thing, right? Because generally speaking, deflation equals bad.
It depends. So like Japan for a long time was experiencing deflation and it was considered generally good. They were like, wow, our currency is getting stronger. This is great. In some circumstances, it's fine. So basically, like if you increase the productive capacity of the economy, you're making more goods and services, more things of value. And if you don't increase the money supply proportionally, the dollar, the currency, whatever it is going to get stronger. The idea is that you actually need to increase the money supply to get certain things done, to start new businesses and have new innovations, right? You're going to set a slightly lower interest rate to encourage more investment. It's a little bit cheaper to borrow money from the government, so banks end up loaning out more money because, they can get it much cheaper. More people will get those loans. They'll start businesses. They'll innovate more. It grows the economy. I would say deflation, not necessarily a bad thing. In the case of the United States, we have so many issues with the way our money supply is distributed. So like people at the top who are extremely wealthy have way too much of it, that if we were to stop increasing the money supply, that would be a problem. I think what we need to do right now is tax the rich, but also have aggressive fiscal policy where we're injecting a bunch of new money into the economy and investing in working people and working communities and the actual middle class, the type of people who don't have the credit or the resources to get a big loan from a bank to start a business. And like the way MMT would say to do that would be, we can have really great public programs instead of outsourcing money creation to private banks. Congress can just vote to spend the dollars in the same way they vote to spend dollars for military budgets. They're just creating those new dollars to fund billions of dollars in military spending. We could instead vote to spend money and create green energy infrastructure, have a publicly funded program, pay people as government workers, employ more people, and then build a bunch of wind farms. Now we have sustainable energy for a long period of time, and the return on investment in that is huge. It's way higher than the initial cost. And so you've got to be careful about how you spend and where you spend. But I mean, if you're not creating new money and you're just letting present trends continue, we're just going to see the wealth gap increase.
Wait a minute though, Earl Tucker here, Confederate trucker. If we now what you say there, little lady, little lassie, is
Irish.
You say
Irish Confederate.
Give him a minute to get his character together.
Yeah, let's everybody back to one.
I was Scrooge. I was Scrooge McDuck for a minute, and
that's Scottish.
So Earl Tucker here, back from pulling in my 18-wheeler, just pulled it into the yard and shot my dog. But now if we build the wind farms everywhere and the wind stops blowing, how am I going to watch my OAN?
That's a good question. Thank you, Earl. And please hang up the phone. Take your answer off air. Thank you.
All lives matter.
Amazing.
How does he get back in here?
I love it. Yeah, there are people who really would ask questions like that, though. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes wind turbines, it's a good question. Sometimes they're not running at full capacity. Sometimes they're at like 25%. And then the return on investment takes like 20 years instead of 10. But you're still going to get there eventually.
Yeah, I love conservative arguments. They're always the same. Like I was telling you earlier that I have been goofing around on Truth Social. So I have a account that has like the worst name you could possibly come up with. Like it's super bigoted.
Me and Tim were trying to find you earlier.
Oh, I'll send it to you. I'm not going to say what it is on the show, but I'll certainly send it to you. It's a super bigoted name, right? Because I just want to see what people would.
Oh no!
I want to see what people would. I just say it's revolving around Michelle Obama, who they love to hate, right? Am I lagging again? Jesus, goddamn internet! I only pay how much for this shit?
It's the Russians.
Hardwired and everything.
Need some of that PB&J.
I posted on there. I go, we shut down the Keystone Pipeline, and that's why we have these high prices. And Joe Biden shut that down. Now, clearly, we know we never shut down the Keystone Pipeline. We covered that ad nauseum. All we did was stop construction on the XL. It wouldn't even have been built till next year. So you might be able to make an argument with futures, but even that argument doesn't really hold water to me. But every one of these people was like, I think I got like 150 likes on something that's completely false, because it doesn't matter that it's false. It has to be right because that's what they think. So it must be right.
Well, the name of the app is called Truth Social, Dutch. So if people are not telling the truth, what are you saying?
I think you're just corrupting the site. It's nothing but truth on there. You're
on there lying.
You're the
ruining
only
the ecosystem.
You're fucking up the algorithm for everybody with your lies.
With my election was stolen truths. It is a fun, like, I don't think it's quite as bad as Parler was.
Like, were you ever on Parler?
Mikey, tell her.
He did it on stream. I'm like, I don't want to be here for this.
No, what day did we go through Parler?
Was that January 6th?
Yeah, on January 6th.
Y'all went on Parler on January 6th?
No,
that's crazy.
We have it. The stream is up. It's still there. It was like our second ever live stream.
Whoa.
And we, on January 6th, we went live.
Shit.
Back when we were still the old pod. This was on the old podcast, right? Mm-hmm. So we took a break from talking about Marvel movies, which is what we used to do. We want to get back to that someday. But democracy is being ripped from us. But anyway, we went on there and I pulled up my Parler account and we were literally going through and reading the tweets about January 6th as the Parlers, whatever you call them over there, reading them as like it was surreal stuff. Like they were giddy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a smart man, right? Kind of learned, but you got to be a special kind of idiot to post your insurrection shit on the internet, on your device that's attached to your person at all times. Like, I mean,
you know they're gonna find you, right?
I wouldn't hand out like 7x10 glossies before I robbed a bank. Like, I just wouldn't do it. And
hey, that's a great diversion. You're just diverting them.
I can't believe.
Then you get to go to court. You get to say, why would I hand out glossies of myself? That sounds pretty weird. The judge would say, yeah, you're right. You're white after all. You must be telling the truth.
I couldn't think of a worst way to insurrect in 2021 ever.
No, to insurrect, not the action verb.
It was the worst execution I've ever seen.
I actually, like I say every time, when I would never forget that day I was working, and then I looked on Twitter, and I was like, what is going on? So I turned on the news, and I saw what looked to be similarly, strikingly like a zombie apocalypse. People climbing up the side of the Capitol. I was like, how are y'all even getting up there? Like they like had suction cups like on their like feet. I'm like, how are y'all even up there? And also, where are the police? Like, we have so many movies about this that I just thought like, oh, I just knew some type of like, you know, force field would just come up and just like laser beam everybody just out like back to Pennsylvania Avenue, like just, you know, completely down DC. No, they just did
The
one
mo-
of these and got right in. I'm like, that's it? Like, is it not secure, Jesus? Like, what is going on? And then they just walked in there. Like, when I seen the man walking with the podium literally on TV, I said, he doesn't have the podium. I know that's not what I think it is.
He better put
It's
that
the-
lectern down.
There is like there was one thing they said that day which ended up being true, and that was that there were some cops who just let people in. You know,
I saw that. Yeah,
and
didn't they
those
play that?
cops those cops need to be fucking thrown the fuck. We need to figure out why. Like,
I just wanna
did they
know why
let
they
him in
didn't shoot
because?
him.
Well, I want to know if they let him in because they knew they were going to get anyway, and they were like, you know, trying to make it less violent, or if they were like in on it. You know, like they're like, well, I support Trump. You know, this is, obviously Trump has a lot of support within cops, so it wouldn't be crazy to think. But you know, it's funny how that conversation went away. It was the only thing that the right wing got right. Now they would tell you everybody was let in by FBI operatives, but you know, there was a couple dozen people who were let in. Why?
Well, from what we're learning from the hearings now, they were pretty confident that some of those people were armed. So I think that
They were.
that's why they were like, get the people out of there and let them in, let them tear the place up and just let them in because they might have guns and we don't want to have a shootout. But y'all also had all the fucking digital. You had the biggest digital footprint
We
of an
saw
insurrection.
coming.
They printed shirts. It takes at least 7 to 10.
Oh, the one guy wore
minutes.
his
We
business.
saw them coming.
The one guy wore his Navistar tag.
Yeah, he's got his work ID on.
You could have took a picture of it and signed in at work for him.
Yeah, they were.
Not this.
They knew it was coming.
Real quick though, and I guess we'll just kind of let Jessica give the last thoughts on the dig part, so we can end the dig. But Anna,
Yes.
I didn't get to see because I was putting my sweet little dude to bed. Did you like the birds part? That was for you.
I'm not doing this with you, Dutch. Jessica, continue. Go on, sis, because I'm not doing this bird situation. I'm not doing it.
Did she roll her eyes? That's all. I can't wait to go back and.
I really thought you had something to say. I really did. I was like, because you were like, Anna. I'm like, yes. You like birds. I'm like,
it was a true story, though. That's the best part. So, all right, Jessica, what did I miss? Anything that you think is poignant to point out about the CIA or Iran Contra or American interventionism in general that you'd like to throw at our listeners from your awesome brain?
We were pausing it and I was adding a little bit throughout. But I guess we could talk about this forever because there were so many crazy things that were happening at once in Latin America at this point in time. But Reagan really fixated on Nicaragua, I think, because it's so close to home. There are so many resources that we rely on in Latin America. And the Sandinistas were really powerful. They were really popular. They were, preaching democratic socialism. And they took down a dictator. The problem that they had was not their ideology. It wasn't spreading their message. And even Castro came and said, there's 3 different factions within your leftist movement in Nicaragua. Figure it out, get together, and you guys can take power. And that's exactly what happened. But once they came into power, they had no idea what to do. And a lot of their land reforms was really bad for the indigenous populations in Nicaragua. They burnt their crops, the trees in the surrounding areas where the indigenous people were living. And they said, hey, now we have to be aligned with either the Contras or the Sandinistas. And that's really what the Sandinistas were forcing them to do. They had their own food, they had their own crops, they had their own land. They lived off the land. They didn't need to be aligned with any one government or faction, but they hated the Sandinistas for this. And so the Sandinistas admittedly got some things wrong. But that doesn't stop the notion of democratic socialism from being very powerful, that we can have a democratic government and we can apply democratic principles to our economic system. That is still true. Just because the Contras came in and made the Sandinistas so paranoid about holding on to power, the Contras and the CIA and Ronald Reagan and the Argentinian military power, all of those things, right? the Sandinistas had to be on the offensive from day one. They had no chance to build a government or see what would happen. And then we hear this narrative in the United States that socialism has failed wherever it's been tried.
Yeah.
It really hasn't been given a fair chance. And actually,
Never.
Bernie Sanders went and hung out with the Sandinistas when they started talking about democratic socialism. And he went to hear them out and like see what they had to say. So full circle. But just a really interesting episode. And if anyone who listens to this is interested in learning more, I really recommend Stephen Kinzer's books. He's a good storyteller. You don't have to be like a history buff to enjoy reading about this stuff.
No, I'm glad. I sent you the list, I think, of all the topics I want to talk about. That one was on there, and I was like, yes, she wants to talk about something that's on my list already. Excited. But all right, so we'll play one more game with Jessica. We haven't played this game in a while, so we'll play it. But we'd love to have you back on to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You actually have you're probably the only person other than Mikey who has the list of topics.
Ooh, I have a secret list.
Yes, Mikey has the list. Haas has the list, but Anna needs
Anna. Wow.
Anna needs to.
I don't have the list.
No, you don't. That's my
Child.
fault. I'm an idiot. You know this already. I'm like the
That's
Jesse L.
okay.
The white Jesse L. Peterson. All right, so we're gonna play a game with you. This
I
game
forgot about him.
I'll let Mikey go ahead, talk about the game.
So this game, you might have heard it by another name, but that's against terms of service. I'll throw it in the private chat for you. But this is prank one, marry one, snap one. So you're going to either prank call or use prank as a proxy for another word. Marry one and then snap one because like Thanos from Infinity War, because we never say the K word because that would be against terms of service. But you get the idea.
I get. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So would you prefer to play this game where
here we
it's
go.
3 people that you don't like, where you're trying to, or with 3 people that we think you might like?
Oh, let's do people we might like.
Okay, might like it is.
Good, great call. The call that everybody would make.
I like it. See, like I think it's more fun if I give you like Sean Hannity, Charlie Kirk, and Ben Shapiro, and make you choose. Yeah, so let's do both just for fun.
There we go.
Okay.
Let's
do
do
one
both.
of each.
Okay, we'll do one of each. All right, start with good because she asked for good first. So Mikey, or no, Anna, ladies first.
Yeah, Anna, go first.
I don't know what type of guys do you like? Like,
Can't ask that question.
Don't
That's cheating.
cheat.
I can't ask that. I
Objection,
can't cheat.
objection.
Okay.
Do not cheat.
All right.
Jesus.
Let me just name 3 people.
Okay.
Ryan
name
Gosling.
Just
Ryan
one. You only name
Gosling.
one.
You only
the
name
other.
one, Anna. You know the rules.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought I was.
All right. So
Okay.
is that your
dang.
final answer, Ryan Gosling?
Yes, Ryan Gosling.
Okay. I'm going to go, since I mentioned him earlier, I'm going to go with Nick Leahy from 98 Degrees.
Lachey.
It's Leahy.
The one married to Jessica Simpson or was
Yeah.
married to? Yeah.
Nicholas.
It's spelled Lahey. That's Leahy. All
No,
right,
there's
anyway.
You're
Nick
forgetting the
Lachey.
whole-
I'm sorry to keep offending you with your man crush.
Hey,
Nick
I
Lachey.
like boy band music. So yeah.
Well,
Get it
bye,
right.
bye.
Keep it correct. I'm gonna steal Anna's husband. And I'm gonna throw Michael B. Jordan in there.
Don't steal my man.
All right, he's officially off the list now going forward. He's been used
He
to
could be on the list. He not my man. He's all of our man.
But he's been
the
used- we've
collective
used-
handsome man.
We've used him too much. All right, so you got
He's the ringer.
Ryan Gosling, Nick Lachey Leahy, and Michael B. Jordan. You're gonna prank one, you're gonna marry one, and you're gonna snap one. And by the way, snap like Thanos from Marvel, so technically they can come back.
Okay.
Right.
That's very PG.
Mhm.
Lovely. This is not hard for me actually because I'm
love this for you.
I'm not a Ryan Gosling fan. I don't know why. I don't think he's attractive. I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't do it for me.
Easy.
How dare you say that about Ken?
Easy.
I can't believe he's playing Ken, by the way. That's nuts. He's not even tan. Anyway.
I thought that.
Come on, man. No. Anyway, so prank Nick Lachey or Nick Leahy. And and then marry Michael B. Jordan, and we're gonna
The
snap.
fucker always
Ryan
wins.
Gosling.
See, told you. Michael
But it
B.
doesn't-
Jordan in the mix. He's always getting married.
He doesn't
Always.
win.
Wins every time.
He doesn't win Mary every time, though. He doesn't win. Some
No, he
people say
usually-
no.
No, him and Idris Elba are we have to put them on the back burner for like
Oh.
6 months.
Is
We
the
can't
Rock
keep using
is
the
the
same
Rock a
people.
cheat code?
No, the Rock hasn't been used hardly ever.
We used The Rock last time with me and Maria.
Yeah, but that's
and
not, that's just once though. I don't think we've used them before that.
okay, we
Yeah.
can throw The Rock back in there.
Yeah, we can
can
throw
you
The Rock-
smell what The
okay.
Rock is cooking?
All right. Anyway, all right. So Michael B. Jordan wins. All right. So now we're going evil, sinister here.
Okay.
And I am going to go. I want to make it bad, but not so bad that it'll be an easy snap.
No. We got to go for the worst of the worst. You
I
want
got
the
Go
one.
for the
snap.
worst of the worst. All right.
You want the
And we're
snap
gonna-
on the bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we can go. So we're going for the snap here.
yeah. You got to go for the snap.
Okay, we're shooting for our goal is to get her to snap our person. Okay, I got
Correct.
you. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Jim Jordan.
Ooh.
Bill O'Reilly.
Rookies, absolute rookies. Mitch McConnell.
Oh my God, y'all.
See, I think me and you might have a tie. I don't know.
Okay.
Victory is mine.
One of these fine gentlemen is going to be you're going to be spending the rest of your life loving
Ooh.
dearly.
You have to share a bed.
So bad. All right.
And hey,
how-
they're Republicans, so you have to share the bed. It's your
Yep.
duty.
You have to share covers with one of these lovely
Ew.
people for life.
This
Ew.
is rough.
You cheated going with Mitch McConnell. He's too old.
Well, Bill O'Reilly older than that, ain't he?
They're both about the same. I think I
I
might
was
win
gonna say-
Mary. I think you might be
that's what I was
marrying Jim
thinking.
Jordan.
Because he's going to unalive very soon.
Oh,
Right? Right? That's strategic thinking.
Oh,
Marriage is sometimes not about love, and it's really a strategic decision.
A woman after
Oh.
my own heart. She's
I'm
smart.
gonna put in a cheater thing. It's till the end of your life. You can't wait for them to die.
no, you can't change the rules.
Oh,
He can't change the rules.
You can't just add in some rules.
No, he was cheating to cheat. No. screw him.
Jessica.
I
Don't listen to
can't do
him.
Jim Jordan. I'm gonna have to
How dare you trick me?
prank Bill O'Reilly.
Yikes.
Marry Mitch McConnell.
You know you down bad
Jim
when
Jordan.
you gotta prank Bill O'Reilly.
the
All right, so
O'Reilly
you-
factor.
So
We're
you
gonna figure out what
snapped
it's
Jim
about.
Jordan. You married Mitch McConnell, and you
See,
Who was
we
the
were
other person?
nice. This
Oh.
is worse.
yeah.
Oh.
Almost made the
We-
list.
Lindsey
Almost
Graham.
made the list.
Ooh.
Oh, thank you, tons of
Ooh.
mice for the correction. Violation. Those are not humans.
Right, those are lizards and human skin suits.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I win then.
Well,
I won with Jim Jordan.
Mitch McConnell's a turtle. He got his little turtle
I-
shell and his turtleneck.
I bet too heavy because you know what? I forgot how old. I used the oldness to win the snap, but he was so old that it slid into Mary.
He's gonna snap
Damn it.
himself. Too.
Yeah, damn it. Too far. A bridge
Too
far.
much.
See,
it
it's
was just
fun
like
when we do
curling.
It's fun when we
Lessons
do
were
the
learned.
bad.
Yeah, I'll get you next time. We'll get him next time.
All right, Jessica, do you have what else? You have anything you'd like to going on in the news you'd like to talk about before we roll up out of here for the evening? Anything that's been bugging you?
And I'm gonna cut you.
No,
I'm
that's
like-
great.
You're good.
No, I don't think there's anything. I have spent like 5.5+ hours live with the Young Turks today, so I got it all out.
Good.
Oh, good.
We
Good,
can go to
'cause Anna's
bed.
got to go to bed.
There
All
we
right,
go.
so tell the people how they can follow you, how they can find you. Give them all your all your infos.
Okay, yeah. Cub Burbank, K.A. Burbank. My last name's displayed right there. Other way. Where am I going? I'm backwards. There we go.
There you go.
On the Young Turks, hosting a lot on their shows on the main show this week. Where else? TikTok, Cub Burbank as well. I'm on the internet. I'm a woman on the internet.
What is it again?
Love
K.A. Burbank.
Yeah.
Do you have penguins as your picture?
No.
Yeah, there's a look out, y'all.
That's TikTok and Instagram. Twitter, it's Jessica L. Burbank. We have to get the username from whoever has my usual one.
Yeah.
They haven't used it since like the early 2000s. Anyway, I'm going to coup the Twitter username, I think.
Well, get the CIA involved.
Yes, that's the plan. But thanks for having me on. This was great. You all have a fun time on here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The news is very dark, and if we can put a little ray of sunshine into somebody's life by making fun of each other, damn it, we're here for it. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and hey, follow us on Twitter at Dig on America, and check us out on Patreon. Don't forget Sunday, Natalie James will be on with Lauren and Brent, and then next week the launch of our new show Breaking Barriers with Dino and Kimberly K. So big things are coming here. We're taking TYT down, but we'll be nice and hire all their people.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the plan. I didn't know I was sleeping with the enemy tonight.
It's, there has to be something sinister that is unrealistic. So, but we'll start with Sam Cedar. How about that?
I was about to say,
I love Sam Cedar, though. He's like my favorite fucking person on the internet. But
I can hear you. I'm your favorite person on the internet.
Anyway,
we're going home. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.